5 years ago, a higher salary seemed like the simple answer to almost every financial stress in your life. Then your career moved forward, your income grew, and your bank balance slowly became larger than before. Yet, even as money became less urgent, a different kind of anxiety quietly took its place. The fear of reaching the end of the month faded, but the fear of losing progress became much harder to ignore. As income rises, the list of things that depend on that income often grows right alongside it. Money can reduce certain problems, but it often changes the shape of uncertainty rather than removing it entirely. This is the margin where we explore the numbers, incentives, and emotional trade-offs behind modern financial life. Today we'll examine why higher salaries do not always improve well-being and why long-term success can still feel exhausting. Early in a career, most people carry a specific salary number in their head and quietly believe it will solve many of their problems. For some people that number is $50,000 a year, while for others it is $100,000 or more. That number often looks like a finish line, but it turns out to be the beginning of a completely new race. As income rises, expectations tend to rise alongside it, often without much conscious notice. The apartment that once felt spacious and the car that once felt impressive can gradually start to feel ordinary. Lifestyle standards often expand quietly, changing how people judge what is enough. The issue is not greed, but the human brain's remarkable ability to adapt to new circumstances. What once felt luxurious can become normal, and what feels normal can soon start to feel insufficient. This helps explain why many people feel behind even when their income has steadily increased over time. The faster the pace becomes, the harder it can be to notice that the feeling of enough keeps moving farther away. Many people assume that a higher salary automatically means less stress, but that relationship tends to weaken after basic needs are covered. Money can solve many practical problems, but some of life's biggest challenges exist outside a bank account. A large share of stress comes from uncertainty, and uncertainty does not disappear simply because income rises. Even people with high salaries can worry about job security, market volatility, and their long-term future. Sometimes the worries stay the same and only the size of the numbers attached to them becomes larger. As income increases, responsibility often grows even faster, creating new forms of pressure and risk. The challenge is no longer paying today's bills, but maintaining the lifestyle built around yesterday's raises. Higher positions often come with a larger potential drawdown when mistakes or setbacks occur. The more useful question is not how much you earn, but how much pressure you exchange for that income. Sometimes a salary increase arrives together with emotional costs that never appear on a paycheck. For years, one office worker chased a six-figure salary because he saw it as the ultimate sign that he had finally made it. He imagined that once he reached that number, life would become easier, calmer, and far more flexible. Eventually, he reached the goal and earned more income than he had ever expected earlier in his career. Yet only a few months later, he noticed that daily life did not feel nearly as light as he expected. The higher pay came with longer working hours and a growing list of responsibilities. He now felt expected to stay available long after the official workday had ended. His income increased dramatically, but his personal breathing room seemed to shrink at the same time. The problem was not poverty anymore, the problem was exhaustion. Stories like this are surprisingly common because money cannot automatically create more time. Sometimes a larger paycheck is simply the price paid for time that becomes increasingly expensive. There is another reason why a higher salary often feels less satisfying than people expect, and it comes from a very human habit. Most people do not measure success in absolute terms because they naturally compare themselves with those around them. When your income grows, the group you compare yourself to often changes as well. New social circles create new standards, and new standards create fresh pressure. The house that once felt impressive starts to feel ordinary, and special vacations become routine. Comparison never truly ends because it simply moves to a higher level. This is one of the least discussed financial traps, where income rises faster than satisfaction. Satisfaction often depends on perception, and perception can change surprisingly fast over time. People who constantly compare their lives will always find reasons to feel behind even when they are far above average. That is why a lasting sense of security cannot be purchased with a bigger number alone. Research has often found that once basic needs are covered, each additional dollar tends to create a smaller boost in daily happiness. It sounds surprising at first, but most people have already experienced this pattern without realizing it. Imagine two workers earning nearly the same salary while living completely different financial realities. Their monthly income looks similar on paper, yet their quality of life tells a very different story. One person keeps a healthy emergency fund, creating a buffer against unexpected volatility and risk. The other stretches every dollar to the limit and leaves no room for unexpected setbacks. When an unexpected expense arrives, one feels shaken while the other experiences a much deeper drawdown. The difference is not income itself, but the structure supporting that income over the long term. Many people spend years chasing a bigger paycheck before recognizing this simple reality. Real stability is not about earning more, but about surviving when life refuses to follow the plan. One useful framework is to stop looking only at salary and start looking at the gap between money earned and stress carried. The first layer is income, because earning more can solve many practical problems but rarely solves every problem. The second layer is lifestyle, because expenses often grow quietly alongside every raise. The third layer is expectations, because the target often moves further away right after you reach it. The fourth layer is psychological cost, the hidden price paid with energy, attention, and peace of mind. As income grows, these four layers become more connected and more important to understand together. People who feel financially secure often manage their psychological cost as carefully as their paycheck. They protect their time and energy because both are limited resources with real long-term value. Wealth without peace can feel like winning a game while quietly losing the reason you wanted to win. In the end, many people are not chasing bigger numbers, but a life that feels lighter and easier to carry. A healthy financial goal may not be earning the highest salary, but building a life that feels sustainable over the long term. For many people, real wealth is simply having enough room to breathe when life becomes unpredictable. Many people spend years chasing higher income without clearly defining what that income is supposed to improve. If more money does not create more freedom over your time horizon, it is worth asking what the trade-off really is. Life is not a spreadsheet competition because numbers only matter when they improve real experiences. The most valuable experiences often come from peace of mind rather than another increase in income. Success may be less about accumulating more and more about reducing what you constantly need. This perspective is not anti-money because money remains useful when it serves a clear purpose. When your relationship with money improves, financial stress often loses part of its power over daily life. Problems may still exist, but life feels lighter when you stop carrying expectations that no longer serve you. If your salary has increased but life still feels heavy, the issue may be more complex than the number on your paycheck. Sometimes what people need is not another raise, but more breathing room inside their daily lives. Financial stability often means having enough margin to rest without feeling guilty every minute. Margin also means making occasional mistakes without turning every setback into a financial crisis. In the long term, money works best when it quietly makes everyday life easier to manage. The problem begins when higher income only fuels a race that never seems to have a finish line. The goal of this channel is to explore money, work, investing, and modern life through a calmer lens. Have you ever reached a higher salary only to discover that your peace of mind stayed exactly where it was?